Some normal decoration here at Ericsson's bokhandel. Then they have this little thing. Very cute. They update this pretty often actually. They had for Halloween another one with a mouse vampire that was really scary. Some normal decoration here at Ericsson's bokhandel. Then they have this little thing. Very cute. Hello there, English speakers, and welcome to a colder but very beautiful day. And here, of course, you see a silver birch and some, I think it's a green willow, and the church lake Kyrksjön here in Ljusdal. Today we'll talk a little bit about stuff and, failing Jewish propaganda and some other things. But let's start by taking a big, deep, sunny breath. So people had problems with a live chat on Rumble yesterday in the English video. I couldn't even reach Rumble when I was doing the so-called pseudo live stream in Swedish, but for some reason Rumble Studio could access Rumble, which I couldn't. So it was some problems on Rumble at that time, but now my episodes are uploaded there. Lucas Gage says that he has no trust in the censorship on Rumble for some reason. I don't know what is behind that. Maybe he talked some bad things about the Jews. He tends to do that. But then he registered on kick.com. That I have never heard of. It's something like Twitch. You can live stream there. So I registered there, and I will see if I can upload there too. It's one more platform, but it's easy to upload via Rumble Studio. So kick.com/Hedda Henrik. And you can actually find me on YouTube easier now under the same Hedda Henrik as I have on Substack. But on YouTube you have to write youtube.com/@ the @ sign and then Hedda Henrik. And the old link also works. On my Substack there I have linked to a 9-minute video that is really good, explaining all the well-known, well-documented false flags done by Zionists and other Jews. So suspecting them to do another false flag like in Bondi, it's reasonable and quite obvious. What I will warn about, there is one little error here. You should use the right words when you are talking about Israel. It's a neo-Bolshevik Hasbara state. Don't blame the South Africans for the Jews' crimes. If you live in Gaza, you would have been very happy to be apartheid, where you have a separate state. But of course, Hasbara means that they have the right to bomb you, not the opposite. And they are descendants from Bolsheviks and communists and bankers. Bankers are usually not moving to Israel because they like to do their crimes in USA and UK and other places. And of course, Israel is not a colonial power. The focus, according to Irving, they bought Churchill and then made Churchill totally destroy the British Empire, and then the Zionist terrorists, they murdered a lot of civilians and soldiers of the British Empire and buried that. That's not colonialism, that's the quite opposite. That's Jewish terrorism and a Holocaust of the Palestinian peoples. use the right word, use their words for their crimes. Otherwise, the blame will sort of fall on others. And of course, never call them National Socialists. They are the opposite. I got a comment from Fibs, and Fibs noted what we all have noted, I think, that Jews tend to either they run gambling like Miriam Adelson, or they do drugs, or they do drug businesses and wars and porn and everything that's some sort of vice. So that's interesting though. But they did do a lot of crimes against Jews also. For example, these false flags attacks against the Jews in the Middle East. They did do a lot of sterilization of dark-skinned Jews or Israelis that they had become. And then you have the Zvi Migdal. So that's a Polish Jewish mafia in Argentina, and they sold Jewish girls that they trafficked. But they got taken down by a Jew. But usually it feels like most of the victims are not Jews. And this is actually uncommon, at least if you look at crime statistics. Asians, they murder other Asians, and white people murder other white people, and black people murder mostly black people. And this is normal, but I don't think that it's the same among the Jews. It might be that they do scam and sell porn and drugs to each other, but they manage to cover it up. And they do a lot of sex crimes against their own children, as we have heard from Knesset, and they cover it up because the making things right is not in their priority. It's looking good that is the most important. So we heard about Ben Shapiro. He was called a miserable imp and a worm by Kenneth Owens. I do not agree on the later. Worms are actually really important and good for the soil, and you need them for regenerative farming. So don't call Ben Shapiro a worm. That's rude against the worms, of course. And Steve Bannon called him a cancer. I will top that. I can't make up more insults, but I can make up one that it's the worst. Every time I notice someone who behaves really horrible, I call them a Ben Shapiro. So getting insulted is one thing. When your name is used as an insult, I think you can't top that. So for example, in Sweden we have one Aaron Flam that is a Ben Shapiro, and now he's insulted. So USA, they have stolen a tanker called Centuries outside of Venezuela, and this tanker, it was not sanctioned for number one, and it was flagged in Panama, and it was owned from Hong Kong. Neither Panama nor China has yet commented on this, which is weird. Venezuela has been jumping up and down and saying that this is stealing, even though it wasn't their stuff. But of course, Venezuela get damaged indirectly, because maybe now it will be harder to export to China. But it's weird that Panama and China are not standing up for their stuff. But what is this about? Stealing the oil and getting the oil back, that sounds bullshit. That's way too expensive thing to do. And when it comes to regime change, that seems far-fetched also. Maybe it's just so that Trump can show that he is, well, having some strength. Because Ukraine shows that he is powerless, basically. So Ukraine is a huge failure. And even worse is that Netanyahu is treating Trump as some sort of slave. What we can be sure about, though, is that it's not about the drugs. They might have been doing some operations against other drug lords that they didn't like for some reason, but saying that Maduro is responsible for that, I don't buy that at all. Especially they did not smuggle drugs on this oil tanker, I assume, but who knows. All I'm saying is that you should be not thinking that you know what this is about. There are many possible explanations, and we are not getting wiser to listen to people, apparently. Except for me, but I didn't inform you about anything except that you are not informed. So good luck with that. Gaza, they have now estimated, or now, this is from September, 680,000 dead. So how though is this true? And the thing is, yes, there was 2.3 millions in Gaza before October the 7th, and now there are 1.5 millions, and only 36,000 have been allowed to leave. So that leaves a lot of very dead or disappeared people. So that's what they will do with you too, because that's how they behave. So this must not be unpunished. But Israel is now fighting back, and they will increase their military spending with 5 times. And I am not talking about that military spending. I'm talking about the Hasbara spending, their propaganda spending to buy artificial intelligence, influencers, authors and other things. So 5 times bigger budget for 2026. And the budget will be $729 million. So it's not, it's a little bit less than all, or the Swedish state TV. That's about $729 million. So our internal TV is as much as Israel will spend on propagandizing the rest of the world in all sorts of ways. So for example, they can buy someone like Gad Saad, and he did a poll. He's the guy, Jew from Lebanon, and have been a Mossad asset, and is pro-genocide and thinks that it's the Muslims, etc. That's his job. But he did a poll. He got 3.3 million votes. Then he deleted it. The result was not what he had expected. So this was on X, where they delete people like me. If you're not big enough and you are very efficient, they can just hide you and, well, delete you and steal money from you, as they did for me. 25% of these 3.3 million people who have indirectly following Gad Saad, the Jew, 25% thinks that Hindus are the worst problem, 11% thinks that Muslims are the worst problem, 3% thinks that the Christians are the worst problem, and 61% thinks that Jews are behind most of the problems in the world. But maybe with all this money, Israel could buy better influencers. but not the Heritage Foundation's vice president, Victoria Coates. So this Victoria, she is saying that there is no evidence that Jews try to control USA and the world. There's no evidence whatsoever. Oh wait, the Heritage Foundation, I guess that's one little piece of evidence. APAC, ADL, HIAS, should I go on? I can go on forever on that list. As you know, Ben Shapiro, he is also getting some competition. I mean, he doesn't get much views. Ian Carroll tried to promote him now for some reason. It doesn't work. No one wants to listen to what Ben Shapiro says, but we still do. But Ben Shapiro said that this USS Liberty in 1967, me and numbers, got attacked by Israel. But Ben Shapiro said that that was just a mistake. It could not be Israel doing this on purpose as a false flag that failed in being successful in the falseness. But you can actually be worse than Ben Shapiro. Yes, you can. Douglas Wilson, he's a Zionist, satanic, so-called pastor. And he said that the people on USS Liberty, they had it coming. Because this USS Liberty, it was double-crossing them and fighting on both sides. That shocked even the Hodge twins. And the Hodge twins, they are identical twins. They are black, they are conservative, and they are somewhat antiseptic. So memorize that. Kenneth Owens and Hodge twins, and there comes more. But first of all, there is no doubt that this was a deliberate attack by Israel, and the president, LBJ, he was helping to cover it up, and he called back the rescuing Air Force that were there to actually tell the Israelis to piss off, so the Israelis could attack them yet again, but still failed to sink them as they had planned. Tommy Epstein, no, Tommy Robinson is he called, but they are very similar. They have both dressed up in this IDF t-shirt or a sweater in Epstein's photo. So maybe they can pour some more money into Tommy Robinson, because that will really make sure that everyone love the Gaza Holocaust and Israeli behavior when it comes to murdering and terrorizing everyone with false flags. So another black comedian, Dave Chappelle. He was not that funny in this clip, but really interesting, 1 minute long. And he has realized that what he jokes about and what he says has a really big influence on a lot of people, especially black people in USA, especially maybe black ones. But he's not conservative, as far as I know. He's just reasonable, which is well, enough to make you a right-wing extremist at this time. But Dave Chappelle, he didn't want to be Charlie Kirk, he said, and he also, what he's even more afraid of is that he will be coerced or forced somehow to say nice things. And his safe word is, I stand with Israel. If he says that, you don't have to listen to anything else he says ever again. So very interesting change in the zeitgeist there. But Netanyahu, that I will remind you, Trump's biggest donor, Miriam Adelson, she hates Netanyahu, and Trump doesn't like him either. but he really likes Miriam Adelson, it seems, and her money. But Netanyahu is coming to Mar-a-Lago and will try to convince Trump to attack Iran. So that might be one great reason to have some conflict in Venezuela. Not a war, but all. The fleet is there, so the fleet can't be used against Iran because it's busy now. So that might explain why people like General Flynn, etc., want this tension at least. If not, they are planning some sort of ousting of Maduro without anything that causes problems or anything. So that's I don't get that. As I said, don't think that you get it either, is my advice. We'll see what happens with Netanyahu. I will not suggest anything for Trump to do with him, because that would just make me look evil, or brutal at least. Elise Stefanik, she was an ambassador to UN from USA, and she's a total Zionist. She has been in Congress, but now she was trying to become the governor of New York. Trump said no thank you to endorsing her, and now she's giving up all plans to become a governor or run for Congress. So that's how you handle Zionist puppets. Just kick them out, basically. Epstein's files were leaking out on Saturday. They shouldn't do that. They should have been released on Friday, but they are late. Thomas Massie says that there is still more to come. They must release more unless they want to break the law and get punished somehow. But that's what they are doing. Thomas Massie knows over 20 people who are guilty of stuff, and they should be in there. So we'll see. Very much expected development so far. The Democrats, though, they are really happy to release everything that the Department of Justice have. So they must really much have cleaned it up very well. Unlike, there is a missing file about Trump that we are missing from things, according to the Zero Hedge article I linked to. So that doesn't look good. And of course, Les Wexner and everyone who was, buying Epstein's island and his estates and stuff. Why aren't they in arrest, all of them? So everything stinks to high heaven, or all the way to Pakistan. That might be more corrupt than USA, arguably. Imran Khan, the one who tried to become a prime minister again, but they put him into prison for bullshit. And now they have sentenced him and his wife to 17 years in prison for selling some necklace for a low price, whatever, something like that. No one believes that. So that's a sad state of affairs, and he shouldn't have trusted the people he trusted the first time he was a prime minister. Some physics. I've linked to a really interesting video about plasma and alternating currents. So if you take an alternating current and you put it at a pickle, so this little cucumber salty thing, and you put alternating current over it, it stops being alternating current totally. It becomes some non-alternating current, some DC current. And why is that? The thing is, if you have plasma, it will behave differently at the anode and at the cathode, because the positive particles are big, like the ions. They are big. They contain, you know, protons and stuff in their atom kernel. Is it called that? Nucleus, of course. While the electrons, they have almost no mass, so therefore they behave differently. And when it starts to heat up at one place a little bit more than the others, then they start to act a little bit like a diode, and that makes the current flow more in one direction than the other. So very interesting demonstration about one of many plasma phenomena. So let's talk about Christian Zionism. And now I mean Christian Zionism. I don't mean Judeo-Christian Zionism. But what is it? If you listen to Born Again Barbarian, he has a very interesting take on the details there. So he is against this replacement theology, that he calls it, the Judeo-Christian kind of idea with mixing the Jews into the Christian religion. But he says that there is a Christian Zionism, and that means that all the Jews will spread out across the globe according to the prophecy, and then they will gather in Israel, all of them, and they will be judged there under 7 years of hard times. So you don't have to work for this. That's not in the Bible. You should be opposed to the crimes against the Palestinians, etc. On the other hand, you don't want a Jewish mafia in your country. So if they go to Israel, well, that might be good for you, at least. And as Israel is just getting worse and worse, that is what seems to be happening. So even if you are not believing the prophecies from the Bible, or that the born-again barbarian, he might be interpreting it wrong, I can't judge that, because I'm not as good at those things. Don't listen to me when it comes to Christian faith. Listen to me about what to listen to, and you might feel enlightened some blind spots, but the details, you have to check them. So one example how the Jews are, or the Zionists, are really trying to get the Jews back to Israel. Ellen Kreisels, so she is a pediatrician, and she wrote a little bit about that it's not so nice to genocide and doing a Holocaust. So she wrote 2 posts about that, and she got arrested by the British police. So if they continue to behave like this, people will say that, yeah, if Netanyahu, he wants more cannon fodder, of course, so why not go to UK and take the Jews, everyone who supports the Jews, all the Shabbos Goyim, they should of course stop doing that less important stuff, like arresting Israeli critics in UK. No, they should go to the front line in Palestine and fight there, and just let Netanyahu take his gangsters and bring them there, just like they did across the Middle East. Now they will wipe the Western world clean of Jews. Also, I'm not agreeing with this, it's just what it seems like the Zionists are trying to do. So maybe that's where they are heading, it seems like that. But with that, the good news is that their propaganda seems to be getting worse and worse. So have a nice sunny day after that.